What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Coach Jose, on another episode of the Shadowproof Podcast. Hope everybody's having a great, outstanding week. And we're learning every day, being shadowproof, not living in the shadows of the past. It's your boy, your favorite podcast host, the hostess with the mostest, Coach Jose. Good evening, everybody. I'm a little behind today, kind of crazy. I usually pre-record my podcast, but this week's been a little crazy. But hey, we in here. We in here for another great episode, great week. Always remaining positive and practicing growth mindset. Listen, I want to start off. Again, my name is Coach Jose, founder and owner of Fortified within coaching and host of the Shadowproof Podcast. Hit that like, smash on that like button, share wherever you're listening to, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube. Make sure you smash that like button and share it. Share it with people you know. Trying to reach a goal, trying to get the word out there to as many people as possible and help as many people as possible. As you all know, on the mental health, in the mental health space. So anybody needs help, men's groups, veterans, women. I'm also domestic. I'm a domestic violence advocate. I deal with men who batter women, certified, anger management, all that. Anything you need, please reach out to me. Do not hesitate to reach out to me on CoachJose79@gmail.com. And wherever you're listening to, please smash that like button and do me a favor. Smash that like button and share it. Let's get the word out there. Let's make this Shadowproof Army big. So without further ado, we're going to get into episode 4. Episode 4 of the Shadowproof Podcast. What are we talking about today? Today we talk about the weight of silence. The weight of silence. That is a great topic. I toyed with this a lot. Thinking of a great topic to come with today. Thinking with something that means something, and to piggyback off my last episodes and keep that ball rolling, keep that fire burning, right? Keep that thought in your mind. The weight of silence. How carrying unspoken struggles impacts us. How it impacts our mental health. How it impacts how we deal with our relationships, and how it impacts our identity, right? Who we are. Right? Because we hold things in. We hold things in, and it's crazy because we think we're being strong, right? We think we can handle it. We think we can deal with it. And then you guys hear me say this a lot, something we can't handle by ourselves, something we can't deal with by ourselves. There's things that we need help with. We need to break the silence. We can't hold that weight of our silence internally. And tonight we're going to talk about why breaking that silence is a big, huge step toward freedom, right? That internal freedom, and that's a big thing to talk about, right? Right. If I reflect on all the things that I held on into in my life, things of my past, things I should have spoke about with my mom. With family members that I held inside, thinking I could just deal with it, or what do? We enable bad behavior. We enable toxicity, right? We hide those feelings because we feel like, we drum up this thing in our head where, it's just something we got to deal with. And I'm here to tell you that it's not. It's not something that we could deal with, right? It's not something that we could deal with. Most of my life I felt like, and I think this is the biggest silence that I've held inside for a vast majority of my life is the struggle. I walk around, anybody knows, you tell you, Jose's a confident guy, right? He's confident. He commands his space. He wears his confidence on his sleeve, right? He's real cocky, sometimes too cocky, right? was really cocky when I was in the military with my job, and I'm really cocky a lot. When I know something, I live with that, right? I embellish that. But the reality of that is as confident as I seemed on the outside, is as I felt like I wasn't good enough on the inside, no matter what I did, no matter how people, told me I was good at what I did. I knew what I was talking about. I knew what I was doing. No matter what, I always felt like I had to prove that I was better. Always had to prove something to somebody. Never once thinking that I had to prove it to myself. And I thought staying quiet about that would protect me. But all it did was put me in a space of isolation, right? I masked that feeling with anger. I masked that feeling with a whirlwind of emotions. And I didn't realize how much it affected me and how much it scarred me throughout my life. And I can tell you now, and even speaking about it right now, how free I feel because I know that about myself. I used to brag to my sons and tell them that I never been the type of guy that like went, was in a bar and went up to a female and bought her a drink or sparked up a conversation. I never really just randomly sparked up a conversation with anybody until my most recent, right? In the space I'm in now I feel more comfortable in myself, feel more confident. I legitimately feel confident in myself. I used to tell my sons, I never had to, buy a girl a drink or not that I didn't buy a woman a drink, but, I never had to be that guy, like, go holler, go try to talk to a woman and flirt, right? It just happened organically. And I took pride in that, right? And it wasn't too recently that I realized that a lot of that came from my lack of confidence, right? That came from a space of me understanding and me knowing. And me fearing rejection because I felt like I wasn't good enough. And it didn't matter who the woman was or what. And this is not just subjective to women. I'm using this as an example of how I used to pride myself in telling my sons this. And I realized that I just came from a space of rejection. It came from a space of insecurity, of not feeling good enough. And I held that in for so long. Right? That's just one of the many things that I've held in for so long, and how that's affected me in my career, in my relationships with people, in my relationships with everybody, because I subjected myself to saying I always have to work that much harder to prove, right? I wanted that instant gratitude. I wanted you to tell me that I was good enough, that I was the man, that I was whatever. And even when you told me that, I still didn't believe it. Right? And in all of that, I was protecting myself. I was overcoming that insecurity or that fear. And in reality, I wasn't overcoming nothing. Right? All I did was isolate myself and stay away from people that I thought I could never live up to. Thought I never could be. I wasted a lot of time, trying to be what I thought somebody wanted me to be instead of who I truly am. And I think we live in that space a lot of the time, right? We live in that space that we try to be somebody we're not, or we try to be somebody we think, we don't know. We think this person wants us to be this way, but we don't know that for a fact. We think we got to do this to be better than the next person, or so I don't lose my job, or so I don't lose this person, or whatever. I have to be in the room. I have to be this person because I don't feel like I'm good enough. And until I talked about that and I acknowledged, I became self-aware of that about myself, I wasn't really free because I held that in, right? So let's talk about the hidden cost of silence, right? Let's talk about the hidden cost of silence, right? The weight that we carry when we don't speak about these things, when we don't speak about our traumas, right? When we don't speak about our mental health battles, when we don't speak about relationship issues, how the person's making you feel or whatever. Think about the weight that bears inside of you. It creates resentment, right? Silence turns into many things: resentment, shame, guilt, especially anger. And that anger amplifies the more you hold on to it, right? And that comes from every space. I'm not going to subject this to just military life or marginalized communities, but we hold these things inside. We hold these things inside and we're angry. And most of the time, most of the things we hold inside, I think in this day and age, are things that we see, that we're influenced to hold inside, right? We didn't really deal with it. We didn't really go through it. We create these things. We create this facade in our mind of what something's supposed to be, right? But let's dissect the hidden cost of the silence, right? How it weighs, how it bears on us, how it bears internally, and it makes us angry, and we don't speak about it, right? If you have an insecurity, how many men or women, how many people, let's just talk about people. That's not men, that's not subjected to men, women, let's talk about people. How many people can legitimately admit to someone else an insecurity? I want you to think about that for a second. An insecurity of yourself, right? Communicate that insecurity and say, hey, I'm legitimately insecure about whatever that is. And this is why, right? How many of us have sat down and wrote down our insecurities without telling nobody, right? Right? Actually, you know what? I want everybody to do that this week, right? I want everybody to sit down and just write down your insecurities, things you think you're insecure about yourself. And then when you write down those insecurities, I want you to think about each one of those insecurities and think about why you're insecure about that. What makes you insecure, right? And I'm here to tell you, if it's someone that's making you insecure, we need to come to a space where we can't let that happen, right? We can't let someone make us insecure, right? But that's part of training self-awareness, right? Training yourself to understand why you feel this way. I feel this way. Why do I feel this way? And the third question I want you to answer is, why can't I communicate that I feel this way? What is it about this insecurity that I'm afraid to let on? This insecurity about myself, right? Because oftentimes we're taught that silence is strength, right? If we're quiet, we don't talk about it, it'll go away. Oh, just build the bridge and get over it, right? I'm sure many of you have heard that expression. Build the bridge and get over it. That's funny, right? It's not that easy, right? How are you going to build the bridge if you don't have the tools? How are you going to get over it if you don't even know how to build it? That's what being shadowproof is, right? Right? I'm giving you the tools to learn how to give you tools to get steps to build that bridge, right? Piece by piece, almost like a puzzle, putting this puzzle piece together. I had a conversation today where I told one of my clients, I said, I'm putting my life together like a puzzle. And I'm horrible at making puzzles. I'm horrible at doing puzzles, mostly because I'm impatient, right? I get so impatient. I've never been the guy to get a 2,000-3,000 piece puzzle and try to put it together. My patience is like, crazy. I don't know. I may have ADHD or something, but it's just like, I can't do it. Like I get frustrated, right? Ironically, as impatient, I hate, listen, I'm the type of person, I hate putting things together. That is like cursing me out, telling me to put something together. I hate it, despise it. But when it comes to like my motorcycle, those of you that know, I love my motorcycle. I have a Harley. I have a Harley Davidson. I have a Road Glide. Love riding it. It's my therapy. It's been my therapy. That throttle has felt more pain than anybody I know. Felt more of my pain than anybody I know, and it's healed me in more times than none. But when I work on my Harley, it's like peaceful to me, right? It's like a space where I feel comfortable. That no matter how frustrated I get, I don't get as frustrated because I feel like I'm in a safe space, because that's the bond I'm building with something I trust wholeheartedly with my life. And it's crazy to say that, right? It's crazy to say that I trust my motorcycle with my life, knowing that I'm in control of it. But think about that for a second. I trust that machine with my life. Right? Because it feels my pain. It comforts me. And I can't even explain that. But I say that to say, right, it's a tool that I use to build this bridge that I need to build to get over and face my shadows, right? And I'm doing that, facing my demons, facing my shadows, facing the issues and traumas that I've dealt with my entire life that I never let go of because I didn't know how. And I'm taking it one step at a time, one piece at a time, one building block at a time. Right? I'm not frustrated in the I need to hurry up. Usually I'd be the person, I need to hurry up and build this and move on. Right? That's what they teach us, right? They teach us in life. They teach us, especially in the military, right? The military teaches us, hey, let's get this, let's complete the mission. Everybody leaves, everybody comes home safe and come back. Right? Move on to the next. There's no room for errors. There's no room for nothing. Right? But when you correlate that into real life scenarios, we have to understand that it's not hurry up and wait, but it's more so taking it one step at a time. I had a really close friend of mine tell me a couple of months ago. It was about riding motorcycles, and he said so many people on the ride stare at the horizon because they're worried about hurrying up to get to the destination. And then when you get to the destination, what are you doing? Then what? Instead of looking at the horizon, look at the wheel in front of you. Right? And I thought about that for a second. We sat and conversated about that. And I said, damn, if we apply that to life and we say, instead of looking at the end result, it's not that we're not seeing the end result or the end goal, is that we're so focused on the end result that we don't focus on the mission. We don't focus on the steps and the tools and the parts and pieces that we need in order to get there. Right? But if we focus on that, that's how we get there. Right? And part of that is breaking this internal silence and creating that self-awareness of ourselves and letting go of those internal demons and those insecurities that we're so afraid to communicate. Right? We're so afraid to communicate because how much it costs us mentally, emotionally, and rationally, right? In relationships, right? What finally caused me to get in this space is because I realized how many people just like me don't have the tools, just like I didn't, to start building the bridge, because we put ourselves in this box where this is all I'm meant for. This is all, I can't do no better. I can't get no better. This is the cards I was dealt. I'm sure all of you heard that before, and that's all I could do. Right? Why do we keep the pain in? Why do we hold on to that pain? not just recent pain, but past pain. That pain that just eats us up inside, and no matter how much, some people result to substance abuse, some people result to alcoholism, and some people result to so many other things, but facing what's really the problem. What is really the problem? You're putting yourself in isolated space, right? Where you're isolating yourself, and you're isolating yourself to a point where that you feel like there's no coming back. Right? There's no coming back. So think about carrying something so heavy, not because of what it was, just like I shared with you, right? I just shared something as simple as fear of rejection and not feeling like I'm good enough. You're carrying something so heavy, not because of what it is, but because you never said it. And all it took for me was to communicate it, to say it. But how did I know, right? People tell you, oh, suck it up. You're going through this. It's not that big of a deal. Don't ever show weakness. That's all crazy to me. That is all crazy to me. Why? Listen, being vulnerable is freedom. Being who you are is freedom. You don't always have to be tough. I said this last podcast. It's okay not to be okay. What's not okay is not figuring out how to break that. That silence follows you. It follows you home. It follows you to work. It follows you in your mental space. Do you realize that I don't listen to music in my truck? Because that's my time to think. That's my time to face these demons. And I didn't know how. I've done that for so many fucking years and never knew how. I thought about them. It's like an anchor, right? That you're just stuck, right? You're just stuck. There's a parable. It's a parable I heard, right? And I'm going to paraphrase this parable. But the person's trying to get to true peace and tranquility. And no matter how much they try, they keep getting pulled in all different directions. But, whether it's issues with family, kids, relationships, our own internal stuff, the person gets pulled in so many different directions by so many other things but themselves. But this man keeps the course. He addresses what he needs to address, what's important, but keeps the course. That takes discipline to make it to full peace and tranquility. Right? It's like feeling alone in a crowded room. You hear me say that a lot, right? Right? That weight doesn't go away. Right? If you think of the analogy that I used of the anchor, when you put an anchor down on a boat, yeah, it hooks. But the more the boat moves, the tighter it gets. Right? So the more it tries to release itself, that's the job of the anchor, to keep the boat in one place. Right? So the more we hold on, the more that anchor holds on, the more it's stuck in the same place. The deeper it gets rooted. Right? So think about how those internal issues, those things that you are scared to talk about, those things that you're scared to release, how that anchors you from flourishing to the person you could be, you should be, the person you could become, the person you deserve to be. First and foremost, happy. Right? And then we ask ourselves, when we're in that space, why can't anybody see me? Why can't anybody help me? How can they help you if they don't know it exists? Oh, that's some deep stuff right there. Right? How can somebody help you if they don't know that insecurity, that pain, that trauma, that whatever it is? How can they help you if they don't know it exists? Right? So because we ask that question and we don't get the help that we want or the reactions that we want, we start distancing ourselves because, you just can't, you're not capable. You don't care, right? That's what we tell ourselves, that people don't care. How can they care if they don't know? Right? That's when the communication comes, right? And then now we start telling ourselves, we're confusing the fact that, okay, we're being silent. So now me being silent and holding this in because I have nobody, now you go into survival mode. Now, survival mode is that's a deep structure, right? That's a deep thought right there, because when you're in survival mode, you're in fight or flight mode. You're trying to survive. You're trying to get yourself out of the situation by any means necessary, no matter who you hurt, no matter who you fuck over, no matter what you do, you're trying to get yourself out of this space. And when you do that, you're suffocating your own growth because you're so focused on this one thing. Think about the puzzle. If most people take a puzzle and they do the border, right? And then after the border, they start trying to figure out the next pieces all over the board, all over the parts of the puzzle. If you get so stuck on one piece, you're never going to move on, right? Until you find that right piece that goes in the next in the next spot, and then the next spot, and so on and so forth. But if you focus on just that one piece, you ain't never going to grow. It's never going to get done. It's going to be there for years. It's never going to get finished. It's never going to get finished. Every day you don't speak, it's like adding another brick to a sack you're carrying, because you're anchoring yourself. You're stunting your own growth. You're stunting your own growth. Right? You say, I thought I was protecting others by staying quiet. What I didn't realize was I was disappearing in the process. Now, what does that mean? I was disappearing in the process. I thought I was protecting others from my own self, from myself, but I'm disappearing in the process. What does that mean? That means you lose who you are. And it gets to a point in life where that you lost yourself. You've gotten so lost that you don't even remember who you are. And you got to find yourself. You ever heard of people saying, oh, this person's going through a midlife crisis? Think about that. A midlife crisis. It's not that they're going through a midlife crisis. They held themselves from being who they are for so long, for a relationship, for kids, a career, whatever. And now they're just like, hey, I got more time. I got more time behind me than I do in front of me, and I'm going to be me. It's not a midlife crisis. They're being who they want to be, and they're in this place where they're finally happy. That's the place I want you to get. That's the place we all need to get. It's not saying that we're not going to struggle. Right? It's not saying I'm going to be a burden. Why are you going to be a burden? People can't help you if they don't know. Right? If you don't communicate, How can somebody know what's wrong? If you don't communicate, how can you get the tools? Think about you building something that you never built before, doing a DIY project. You go to Home Depot and you're looking for something, but you don't know what you're looking for. And then the guy, a worker comes up to you and says, hey, what are you looking for? And you just look at him. I'm trying to build a shed. Okay. What do you need? And you just, with that blank stare, right? If you don't tell them, hey, well, this is what I have, this is what I don't have, this is what I need, this is where I'm going, this is what I'm trying to build, then now you're communicating, right? Same thing. Same thing. How we internalize that and bring that out, how we internalize these things of the lack of communication, and we don't speak and we don't allow others in for whatever our crazy rationalization behind that is. Crazy rationalization on why we don't want to let others in. And I'm not sitting here saying that you got to let everybody in, right? Because I'm going to be honest, until I finally spoke to my mental health coach, which she's a godsend to me. I couldn't even begin to tell you how I was going to find the tools I needed to get to where I'm at today. Now I was already in the mental process of acknowledging. See, that's the key here. You have to acknowledge the problem. You have to be self-aware. You have to be self-aware that something's wrong. Something's going on. Right? Something's going on, and I need the tools to figure it out. Right? And it doesn't have to be like me. I went to a coach. Could be a mentor. Could be a somebody you confide in, or even writing it down. Journaling. Right? Journaling is a huge help. I journal. I don't do it every day, but I do journal. Right? It's a step in the right direction. It's letting it out, talking about it. When I say self-aware, the exercise I gave you, I said, what are my insecurities? And then exploring those insecurities and saying, why am I insecure about this? And what is it that makes me insecure about this? What causes this insecurity? Right? Now, I'm not saying here telling you it's going to fix everything, but I promise you it's going to lighten the weight. It's going to open up that door to healing. And that's the step. That's the first step of any process, is taking that first step. If we talk about the building bridge, the bridge is never going to get built unless you take the first step and saying you're going to build it. Right? It's like what I'm doing with this podcast. If I would have never took the step to start the podcast, I wouldn't be doing it. Right? And I'm still not a pro at this. I tell you, I'm not a pro at this. When I tell you these are raw and uncut, I don't edit. I don't do none of that. And it's crazy to me. I know I'm going to get better as I go. And I think I've gotten better as I go. But, if you don't take the first step in your own freedom, in your own space of breaking that silence of those internal insecurities, those internal battles, you ain't going nowhere. You got to take that first step. So let's think about that in a broad perspective of how do I take the first step? What tool do I need? And it starts by building self-awareness. It starts by acknowledging and facing them demons. Stop running from them. They ain't going nowhere. Trust me. No matter how much you drink, no matter how many drugs you use, no matter what you put in its place, no matter how much you try to keep yourself busy, no matter what you do, they're going to be right there with their arm on your shoulder like, hey, bro, I'm still here. What up? They ain't going nowhere, ladies and gentlemen. They not going nowhere until you face them. Face them head on. Face them head on and think about it. Silence is survival and it's not sustainable. Silence is Silence is survival and it's not sustainable. It robs you of connections. It robs you of growth. It robs you of who you really are. Naming and understanding, the exercise I gave you, naming the struggles, it disarms it. The moment you put those words to pain, it loses itself. It loses the grip it has on you. That anchor starts to come loose. That silence creates a story that others can't read. Not even you. Because you're holding it in and you don't know how to deal with it. Think about that. The people closest to you, because you're being silent, have two options. They either think you're fine, which is horrible because you're not, or even worse, they think you don't trust them enough to tell them. So how do you think that makes them feel? How do you think you feel when somebody you care about is not, you feel that they're not trusting and you're not, they don't trust you enough to share with you how they're feeling or what they're feeling internally. Now, I'm not sitting here telling you, let everybody know your insecurities, let everybody know. Start is taking the first step. Writing it down, acknowledging it, dissecting it, saying it to somebody you trust, or seeking somebody professional. Hey, I'm here. I know y'all don't believe it. I wasn't always in this space, but I'm willing to help anybody. And it doesn't have to be me. But I'm here. This is what I do. I enjoy this. Listen, helping others helps me. Me doing this podcast helps me every single day. I look forward to I look forward to my podcast. I look forward to my clients. I look forward to that because it helps me mentally. It doesn't care. I could wake up in the morning and say, I don't feel like dealing with any clients today. I don't feel like doing any groups. I don't feel like dealing with people. And then as soon as I do it, I feel so alive. And I could tell you where I'm at today, I've never felt so alive. I've never felt so whole. And I'm still, listen, my puzzle's I don't even have the whole border done yet. I still got a long way to go. Right? That's the Fortified. That's why I came up with the Fortified Within. Fortified Within, the mission to help. That's my mission. I'm a military guy. I gotta focus on the mission. Help people move from carrying invisible weights to building visible strength. Ooh, let me say that again for you. I'm here to help people move from carrying invisible weights to building visible strength. Real strength, not the strength that we're taught. Of internalizing, of being quiet, of not being vulnerable, of not showing emotion. That's not strength. That's weakness. That's crazy. So I'm going to bring you guys back, right? I'm going to bring you guys back here in the end of this. I'm going to bring you guys back. What's the weight you've been carrying in silence? Or what are the weights? But start with one. Really visualize it. Really let it marinate. And take one small step. Small, it doesn't have to be big. Write it down. Write down something you're afraid to say, something you haven't been able to say. Dissect it. Call that one person you trust and talk to them about it. Speak your truth, even if it's just to yourself. You don't have to carry this weight alone. The silence. Let me tell you something. That silence and those traumas and those issues that you've been holding on for so long, that weight, that anchor that's been in that space for so long, that's been anchoring you down, you don't have to carry it alone. And it doesn't define you. It doesn't define you. The courage to take that first step, though. The will to take that first step. That first step to break it, that does. And that's a step to having that growth mindset, to being in a space where I'm going to beat this. I'm going to sit down with my demons and we're going to order a pizza and we're going to have a sit down. We're going to have a coming to Jesus moment because we going to get through this. Right? Now, this is some raw and powerful stuff we're talking about here. Right? We're going to sit down. We're going to face those demons. We're going to acknowledge that this silence does not define me, but my courage to take this first step in acknowledging, to break it, to make it lose its strength and its grip that it's had on me so long. That's going to define who I am. That's going to define what I am and where I'm going and how I'm going to grow from this, and I'm going to be better than I was yesterday. People, my shadowproof people, I want you to think about this and let this marinate real deeply, right? You heard me talk a lot about breaking that internal silence and giving you pointers and tools, right, to help you manage that. But I want you to think about taking that first step, acknowledging, fighting, and don't let it weigh you down anymore. Let it go. Let it go. Don't let others tell you what you can't do. Think about this. If you were to run into today the person you could have been, what would you think? Or even deeper than that, if you were to pass away today and your life came to an end, and when you, in your transition, you meet the person you could have been, how would that make you feel? And it's not too late, because you're not alone. You're not alone in this. We carry burdens of our parents, of our ancestors, of people around us. It's energy that we carry of people around us, what we see on social media, what we see on the news, what we see on TV. We carry all those burdens on top of everything that we really have going on. So think about that. If you was to run into the person that you could have been, how would you feel? What would you say to that person? Or even better, if you could go back and do it all differently. Listen, we all say, if I would have, I regret this, I regret that. If I could go back and do it differently, I would, if I knew then what I knew now, right? That's great to think that way, but at the end of the day, we are who we are, but that doesn't mean we have to stay who we are. I didn't come this far to be the same person I was yesterday. I didn't come this far to say, to be the same person I was a year ago, let alone I was 5 minutes ago. I came this far because I want to change. I want to be better. I want to be a better person. I want to love me more. If I don't love me, if I don't love me, if I don't believe in me, if I ain't my biggest cheerleader, ain't nobody else going to be there for you. And that doesn't mean being arrogant. It just means believing in yourself and believing you deserve better. And you don't have to hold on to these weights that we've been holding. Keep all this silence internal. You don't have to do that. You deserve better, you can do better, and you can be better. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I know it's not that long, but I think I got to the point. right? I love doing this, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Like I said, any feedback, please leave comments. You can follow me on YouTube, Fortified Within, Shadowproof Podcast, YouTube, Apple, whatever. Again, you can email me at coachjose79@gmail.com. Even if you just want to listen, first call with me is complimentary. It's a discovery call. You know what I'm saying? We could talk about it. You could get to know me. I could get to know you. And we could go from there. But again, it doesn't have to be with me, but take that first step. You deserve that. You deserve that. You deserve to let go and be one step closer to becoming shadowproof and not living in those shadows of the past and facing those demons. I love you all and respect y'all. I hope you have a great day. I hope you enjoyed my episode. Again, smash that like button, share it with people that, could get something from it. And I appreciate you. Subscribe on YouTube, all that good stuff, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. It helps me out, helps me grow, helps me get the word out. And all the support that all of you that have been listening since my first episode to now, I truly, truly appreciate all the support, and I truly appreciate all the feedback you guys have given me. You guys are the fuel that keeps my fire going, and that helps. That's the key. That helps keep my fire going, because this fire ain't burning out. I'm here. Whether I reach one person or 100, I'm here. Respect y'all. I love y'all. Y'all have a great day. It's your boy and your favorite podcast host, Coach Jose. Y'all gotta have a great evening.